Hello, everybody, and welcome to a non-canon file of All You Can Hear podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name's Cody, filling in for Tanner doing this intro, so I didn't plan this. I got with me four other gentlemen. Starting off on my left is
Jonathan.
Jonathan's here. We got Pat. Got Cole, and
it's me,
Wenzel. And today we are actually going to be talking a non-canon file about our favorite anime so far this year. At least for me, I don't know. Anybody else? Anybody
else?
Biggest
anime of 2018.
Biggest anime of 2018 so far, and so far from what we've seen from the winter season. We talked about that in Monday's episode. Probably the biggest anime of this quarter, honestly. I mean, outside of Pop Team Epic, but that's a totally different thing, hard to compare. But controversial, Devilman, really good anime. We're going to be talking about it, our thoughts on it. We've all seen all 10 episodes and cried along with it. Some of us, like I know, not Tanner, Patrick has seen it like 1.5 times, sort of. Colt's seen it 3 times. Wenzel's seen it 1 time. I've seen it twice, and Jonathan's seen it once. So yeah, we're going to start out. We actually created some OCs, like we did with the Monday's episode. We did. Tanner did his Devilman OC. You can go back and listen to.
We'll have a little light content before they get into the dark and gritty
let's
stuff.
Let's all be happy for a moment. So, anybody want to start off with their OC? Jonathan didn't do this again, by the way.
I'm here.
Yeah, Jonathan's here. Thank God.
He's present. Good for him.
We totally didn't do this less than 10 minutes after Monday's episode.
Like, this episode has been done. We actually, our Devilman OCs we did a few days ago, I think.
Yeah.
He was trying to peek behind the curtain.
All right, Colt, what's yours?
Looks like shit, but his name is King Balog.
Balog.
B-A-L.
No.
B-A-A-L.
You gotta say it like Balog.
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 It's spelled B-A-I-E-L-A-A-G. I just made that name because I saw a lot of letters, and I said, yeah, that's good.
That's fuck.
And everybody, look at it.
What's good about him?
Nothing.
All right, Colt didn't go too much detail. Wenzel, what's yours?
Okay, I literally just drew this on the spot. It's a giant baby.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, that's a demon.
Yeah,
that's a demon from hell.
I don't know his name. I'm just gonna call him, because essentially what I had in mind, because I just literally, if anybody doesn't know, on my sketchbook I have the sticker of one of my favorite artists boycotting, and it's a baby, and immediately I looked at it for inspiration, and I drew a giant baby. So my Devilman is a giant baby who, when you, that's cool, Cole. I like that.
I like the Cyclops visors.
Thank you.
I guess I'll just call him Leviathan because he's so fucking big, or Behemoth, whichever one, you know. AYCH fans out there, give him a name. He's a giant baby. If you guys want to look at him,
we are going to be posting these on Instagram, so you can always go check those out at AYCH Podcast, right? That's the @ sign for the Twitter.
Nice
I don't
baby.
know. I don't check it. I didn't.
We'll put the correct link at the end.
Tanner's the one who memorizes all of our different things. I think all of our stuff is AYCH Podcast, except for our Twitch, which is All You Can Hear Podcast. So, or All You Can Hear, not All You Can Hear. Anyways, fuck it. Okay, Pat, what's yours?
Yes, mine is Matthias, the Manticore.
Oh
my God, what the fuck? This is good.
Tell us a little about Matthias.
Yeah,
Matthias.
Start with the name. The name I came across years ago in like middle school. I read it in a book, and I was like, "That's a cool name." Just to show you like how much of an edgelord I was in middle school. Like I thought this name was so cool. It's like, if I have a son, I'm gonna name him Matthias.
God, that looks amazing.
He's got.
And a Manticore is a Parisian, not Parisian, a Persian monster that's has the body of a lion, the face of a man, and the tail of a scorpion.
And doesn't it also have wings? Does it fly?
That's a variable.
It varies. Okay. I got you.
Goddamn.
Looks cool. I forgot that in the show they stated pretty much that any like mythological creature ever mentioned is technically a devilman or demon.
Yeah, that's a really good thought. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I literally went straight for like the actual lesser, like where all the demon names comes from in the show.
Yeah.
The Lesser Key of Solomon, Goetia, I think is the name of it. I really don't know. But they were the demons and the princes of hell and shit like that. Wamukun is my. Fuck. I'm kidding.
Turns
I
out
would've lost-
underneath that beanie are horns.
I would have lost my mind.
Yeah. Again, episode at the beginning of the
I'm
week.
thinking about the last episode where they're all like, "We're devilmen and we're gonna fight," and I imagine one could be like, "I'm here,
I'm
guys."
Wamukun. Just out there like Squidward in that.
And I imagine if that whatever Devilman like gets something cut off, Wamu was like, "Use me!" It cuts his head off. He's like, "Ugh."
Like, no thanks.
My demon that I drew, I did go find his name from the list of demons and things like that. His name is Andros, and he is one of the only demons in the entire show that was purposefully summoned, just like Amon, that was purposely summoned so that the person summoning him would be affected by him. Well, it didn't go as planned, and the guy literally got consumed by him. But the guy still has a human body, the head of an owl, the wings of an owl, and in the process, he lost a hand and a leg, but gained a bird foot, an owl foot. One of the interesting things.
Win-win.
So when I was reading up on Amon, I thought that, or not Amon, Andros, was that he is. I forgot. I don't know what his rank is. Demons have apparently ranks. They get like some legions and hells and shit like that. But one of the cool things about Andros is that he's just chaos. He's just fucking chaos. And when I was looking at his images, because there's other images, of course, from this particular book of demons or whatever. He was literally just a naked owl-headed man, human, with wings, with a sword, riding on a horse, and just killing people.
That's badass.
It's badass, and I truly displayed it here in this awful drawing of mine. But I thought that was.
I mean, I still appreciate it. I
thought that was really cool. So, Devilman, if you couldn't tell, is all about the blood and gore.
His
It's all
nippies
about.
look weird.
Well, I tried to draw a titty for him, but
I like him.
Wait, does he have boobies?
I really
No.
like that. That's
one of the things that I
awesome. They look like Rick and Morty eyes.
his nipples,
Yeah.
maybe they are. Would have been a good OC to draw Rick as a demon. Just Rick.
Just a
Rick.
pickle.
Just oh my god, it's pickle. One of the things about a Devilman is that it's been very controversial, very very controversial. Violent, sexual, sex.
Wow.
Lots of violence.
That's very sexual.
Violent sex.
Very
a
sex.
lot of genitals.
Oh yeah, actually violent sex. Yeah.
Demons and things like that. And as you know, this was the 50th anniversary of the original run of either the manga or the anime. I can't remember.
Well, this
The-
is at
the
least
manga.
the fourth major adaptation of it.
Devilman Crybaby. I don't know if I've said that yet.
Devil May Cry Baby.
Yeah, that's the name of the show. This one.
And we're Alabama boys, so the only show we've watched before this is VeggieTales.
VeggieTales the only show I'm allowed to watch.
Yeah.
That's true. VeggieTales is just like Cucumber SpongeBob,
Pretty much. Actually, yeah.
But with Jesus.
but with Jesus.
So
Wait.
Does Larry the Cucumber grow up to be Pickle Rick?
You know what? Scratch the Devilman Crybaby. Let's do VeggieTales.
VeggieTales Pickle Rick.
A question: is VeggieTales an anime?
Yes.
Yeah. It's about. Come on now, Jonathan, get that shit together. Fuck,
Yeah.
Why would you even ask that? What were you saying, Pat? About like you said I said it was like the 50th anniversary of, and you said it's like,
With because Go the guy, the creator of Devilman, he created the comic a few decades ago, and all of his work is always been laced with violence and sex and very challenging and problematic by design to sort of just challenge people's sort of like thoughts and sort of
Push boundaries.
and that and for better and for worse, that does strike people. That does sort of turn people off and on toward the content. As as you can see, the entirety of Devilman is very charged with a lot of violence and sex and sexual violence and a lot of like very intense themes.
Which I thought was great.
Yeah,
To like,
because I don't think it was. I think it was tasteless, but purposefully tasteless.
yeah.
It wasn't. It was meant to be grotesque in
Wait,
every sense of the word.
Which it's like, and then whenever they show that, it's like, oh, people aren't like that. It's like, well, yeah, people are like that. Like the world is filled with sex and violence. Like this is literally like kind of
This
like
is everything.
you're condensing like all the, well, sex isn't bad, but you're condensing like that certain part of like whatever,
Right.
The very primal like
Urges.
in urges into like one setting. It was in that what was it, the Sabbath or whatever, the nightclub? Yeah.
And the very first episode,
Yeah.
you got to see sex, you got to see violence, you got to see drugs, you got to see demons, demonic imagery, things like that. I mean, even down to the rave lights above. It was like the image of a crisscross deity that they were all dancing to, which was I don't know if that was Bahamut or not, but it was.
It was something.
But the thing, let's break it. Let's back up a little bit and let's talk about the anime from a more technical perspective. Let's talk about the animation. Let's talk about the music, and let's talk about the pacing. And we'll talk about the pacing last because that kind of folds into the story, right?
Yeah.
So animation wise, what did everybody think about it?
I thought the
superb.
animation was beautiful.
Yeah, very stylized, very, very beautiful.
I definitely have to agree that I mean, Pat, you and Wendell are the artists here, and everything like that. So I don't. To me, I love the animation. I love the fact that it actually felt fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I don't know. I guess the best way to describe it is like whenever when Akira gets turned into a Devilman, and then what's her face gets turned into one as well, and then that one runner dude gets the runners actually get all turned into Devilman. And,
I should say spoilers. We haven't really
yeah.
spoiled the
Right,
anime.
we're going to be talking about the entirety of the series, so like if you're this far in,
Back out before, because you've already heard enough. It's time for you to just
Yeah,
leave.
spoiler.
Go and watch Devilman. It's on Netflix. It's 10 episodes. It's not even 5 hours.
it's an afternoon.
It's an afternoon, but it's an afternoon that you need to make sure that you are in a safe spot.
Make sure
Yeah.
nobody's going to walk in.
There's
and-
no
And
children.
as a disclaimer, this show is not for everybody.
It's not for
You will find out by the first episode whether or not it's for you.
if you watch the first episode and say I don't. If you say that watch the first episode and say I really like the animation, I really like the music, I really like the concept, but that's a lot, then you need to just stop. The ball just rolls downhill from there.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, yeah, like everything seemed like really exaggerated, I guess is the best way to describe. Like I don't know how to describe it because it's animation, it's anime, so of course everything's gonna be exaggerated. But like you said, everything felt fast paced, and like I guess like the fact that they're all runners and like the slenderness, I guess, is something I don't know how to describe it.
It reminded me, especially like the early parts of the show, where it's a little more light and less gritty, of like old New Yorker cartoons from like the 20s or 30s.
Also, kind of had a weird Samurai Jack thing to it as well. At
Just
some
with
parts.
the music, and that's more Samurai Champloo.
Well,
in
I was
my
saying
opinion.
Samurai Jack and like the weird how the colors were used and
Yeah. And Samurai Champloo, that's more of like what kind of style of music is that?
like hip. I mean, it's hip hop.
but
Oh shit, yeah. No, you're right.
And another thing is the loose hand that allowed to exaggerate features and the speed at which everything kind of went with the animation. Everything emphasized speed. It emphasized quickness. It emphasized the next step of the next piece and things like that. And it was more fluid.
Yeah.
This was definitely, I think Pat was the one who said it the best, was this is what happens whenever a studio can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, and there wasn't many shots of like, you'll see a lot, especially in anime, where it would just be like two characters talking. The only thing moving is the little mouth flaps. Most everything was very fluid. There was usually something. There was always motion going on. And
Everything's meaningful too.
Yeah, and everything was for the most part purposeful, and you can tell it was like just creator splooge.
Yeah.
And that's something that what the director of this adaptation is known for, is that there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of like there's a lot that has meaning. There's a lot that becomes apparent upon multiple viewings. That the director was known for just like building a lot of dense things into the scene.
Yeah, like I watched the first episode again with one of our other friends, and there were so many things I missed in the first episode that, like, going back, I was like, holy shit.
Second, I would recommend if you do watch it one time and you can handle it for a second one, I definitely recommend going for a second. And if you go for a third, you're still going to get stuff out of it.
But if you watch it for a third time, you'll just like think about episode 9 and just.
The whole show leaves you thinking. It leaves you with it feels like a residue on you for a while. I mean, even till I watched it 3 weeks ago, and I'm still feeling it. I'm still thinking about it. There's
like 3 days later after watching it the first time, I was still like in a haze. It wedges itself deep in your head.
It wedges yourself deep because it and we'll get to this in a moment, but let's go ahead to the music. The music was probably the most fantastical part of the whole anime. I mean, well, I say that, but it's very much fantastic. The music is just wonderful,
superb.
Yeah, I honestly think it was probably, if not the best element of the show, probably one of the best elements.
Of the show. It's what made it.
Yeah, it was intense. Yeah. Very like fast paced, like just like the rest of the show. Entire theme of it,
and I think like a lot of the moments that hit hard would not have hit near as hard without the music.
That sort of very soft, stripped down piano music that plays through like the opening of the like the first episode, and then in the final confrontation at the end of the series, and or in the climax of episode 9 where Akira has this breakdown over the what he had just seen, and like that's what. In addition to like just the impact and the grotesquity and the atrocity of what you see in the last few episodes, but the music pushes it over the edge.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I really love the rapping.
Yes.
And that plays into the pacing of the show too, which we'll get to in just a moment. I want to get to the rapping, but I do want to talk about the speed of the. That's one of the things about this anime that I really, really enjoyed was that the actual animation and the music played a huge part in. They were very much together. So we identified each of the characters by their music. You had Rio, which had a very club sound to him,
very synth wavy.
But then you had the photographer that was in episode 1, 2, and 3, which had the and he was like hyper. But that was our first kind of toe dip into the anime's like more hyper-sexualized portion because he was a porn photographer. He was a bathing suit photographer.
Gravure. I don't know how to say that word.
Gravier?
Yeah, I guess. His sounds most correct, so Pat's...
It's voyeur, yeah.
Voyeurism, yeah.
When someone gets off to watching other people, in intimate situations or,
But he pretty much exploited, like, essentially teenage girls.
Yeah, and so you got to see this person who was like seriously just driving high speeds down the street, listening to this music, and then he was like scrolling through his phone, looking at nudes of these girls and looking at these girls and things like that, all to do this sleazy kind of, you feel kind of gross, scummy work. And
it really like characterizes him like a way like most other shows would just have like an exposition dump of like, oh, this guy is this, and it is very like show, and in this case like play don't tell.
Right. So the music, the action he's doing, the animations, all that stuff kind of comes together to say this guy's a sleazeball and he's seriously messing with one of the main characters, which is, I think, is it Miku? Miki. So Miki, and he's messing with her, as in like she comes over and gets her pictures taken, but she's a sweet, innocent type girl, and you just see her sort of kind of get captivated by him. Yeah, and then you have you do have Akira, which is who is
the main character.
Who is the main character? He is Devilman, and notice we've talked about the technical aspects of the show, but we haven't really gotten to the details. But Akira is his music himself is the Devilman, the original Devilman OC kind of established and kind of put forward. Anyways, music wise, the anime. It matches the speed of the animation, and it pushes it along.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts about the music, though, I don't know if anyone else noticed it, but the music when Miki was possessed by the water blob, how it was Miki's normal music, but it's escalated, and it sounded like the audio was screwing up, but it just went into a fast techno beat whenever they were when Akira was going up the stairs.
Holy shit! I didn't notice that. So
just
like
that, I mean, that tells you like the level of detail and thought that was put into every
little piece, because I mean, I don't know if it's because we know from the fact of the photographer the music does not imply demonicism, but it does imply the heavier the beat, the more aggressive the beat, the more techno, the more electronic, the more disconnected from the natural elements of musical. Because there's only one really acoustic song, and it's in episode 9 after. There's so much fucking slaughter.
Well, I mean, the piano parts played throughout.
Right, and the piano parts were mainly with
Miki.
And Akira has like a heroic techno sound beat to it, like dun 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 dun, dun with the Devilman beat. And so they do imply some sort of demonicism or some sort of evilness to the character. But there's more. It literally compares it. Like, I mean, some of the hardest music, the most disgusting music, was with the sleazy photographer who was possessed later on. But even as a human, he had the
Yeah.
which implied
that
he was dark soul.
Yeah, like
Dark Souls.
like even though he wasn't a demon, he was like just as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that what kind of foreshadows what
Which
happens later
I
on.
we'll probably get to it, but I just love that how it makes like, even though Devilman, he's literally a demon, like he's half human, half demon, but he's literally like a creature from like essentially hell, like he's demonic. It's like there's several like him, yet the only true monsters, the only true demons were humans.
Yep.
The only people who were like trying to kill each other, abusing each other, were humans.
Yeah.
I mean,
the humans didn't need any help. They didn't need to be possessed by demons to do all the terrible things they did.
yeah, like
They
whenever
were just as terrible.
yeah, which is just like, I mean, that just again brings into question human nature.
So moving past the music a little bit, because I mean we'll always come back to this, like the animation and the music, the pacing. So I always saw this for, first of all, the most general aspect of it is there are two distinct sections of this show. You have the beginning portion, which felt like you were gearing up for like a 2 to 3 season anime. And then you have the ending portion, which felt like we just crammed all the seasons of Evangelion into one 4 to 5 episode slot frame.
Yeah, you're essentially at like, it feels like you're at the edge right now, and it's like we're getting to that resolution. But
there was also some macro sort of thing. So that was the macro, and so let's go into the micro. There was some micro transitions in there, and specifically with the rapping. So the rappers were a part of they were the hoodlums. I think in the original they were like hoodlums, but in this one they became like rappers. And so they had these really like good ass raps.
Like, it wasn't like a yo yo yo. It was like actual Japanese like rapping, like the actual language. Like,
and not only and it provided like exposition in a very creative way, but also tied in thematically with what was going on within the moment.
Yeah,
because you got to see one of the raps. I think it was in episode 2 to 3, or it was episode 3 of the beginning. You actually saw it was able to do a bit. It was basically a transition.
Yeah, for like each lyric, it showed an image popped up of like something that's it's connected to that.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so the rapping was a part of that. So that was the kind of connection between the music and the transitions. But that first half of the show, you had episode 1, which showed the club scene. Episode 2, which kind of went into detail about Devilman, and then what happened in 3 was the photographer. Mm-hmm. Basically, the photographer, I believe it was. I'm going off the cuff here, so.
3 was when the seeds of conflict between Ryu and Akira first began to surface.
That's when they first like literally clash headbutts.
Oh yeah, whenever.
Because that was whenever she was
possessed, and Ryu was like, she might know who you are. We need to kill her.
Episode 4.
Was that the episode with Akira's parents?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Whoa.
Episode 4 was that one?
Mm-hmm.
That was
because episode 5 was the
Celine.
Siren episode.
Celine, yep. Yeah. Wow. Whenever his mom and dad became a part of a Kappa, that was
fucking crazy.
That Kappa looked good though. I think it's one of the. Let's just highlight this. The demon designs
were fantastic. Some of them were a little, like a little scribbled. It
Yeah,
felt
so
like.
of course some
But
of them
that
were.
was to show the chaoticness of what the demons were.
Yeah, I think
But
that was more like a style choice.
and
than,
some of them ended up having like true detail and like the ones. So the major ones that were recognizable for a reason, and the ones that were sort of like a starfish with a tentacle, those ended up being like thrown to the side.
Yeah, but it was just cool. Like, again, the Kappa looked great. What was it, Xenon?
Right.
It wasn't look great. Psycho Jenny, my
Kine?
favorite design. Honestly, Psycho Jenny.
Kime was the Thunder one, right?
Yeah, kind of looked great
That
too.
was fucking cool. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And Serene or Siren.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The bird woman demon.
I remember one of the essentially Devilman's counterpart to Lucifer's or Ryu's transport was like a huge, like, essentially dragon from like mythology.
Yeah.
Like the one without
Hydra, the Hydra.
Oh yeah, that looked awesome.
Well, it might have been like
Oh, actually no. Lucifer's was a Hydra. Devilman's was like a
Satan, not Lucifer. Well, they're the same thing, but
they're,
yeah.
they're literally the same.
Sorry,
person.
they never call him Lucifer in the show. They call him Satan and they call him Rio in the show.
Wait, did they really call him? I thought it was. It doesn't matter. Same thing.
call him Satan.
Yeah, it's
I
fine.
am Satan. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it was like a. I want to say like a Chinese dragon,
Oh yeah.
sort
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
No, and we don't need to forget the cat.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
like surprised the cat was a demon the whole time.
Which
Wow.
the whole point of the whole point, because the thing is though is they were one of the things that
they never fed that cat.
So we were all Jonathan, Pat, and I were all talking about this beforehand. But in Evangelion, they use a shit ton. Or Evangelion, whoever you want to call it. They use they reuse scenes a lot, and so I always thought that a lot of animes do, but the bleakness of this, I have to connect them. There was always a reuse scene throughout the entirety of Devilman, which is the cat pawing at the bowl. He's always wanting food, and so you're like, damn, do they ever feed this damn cat?
Yeah,
And
I literally said that while we were watching it.
at the end, the cat turns into a demon, but
After
it's like,
getting stabbed by these terrible humans.
yeah,
Oh, God.
and that was one of the fun things about that little snippet was I was like, oh, the cat's always hungry because it's a demon.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he's always pawing at the food. I don't know. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, it is.
So, let's go back to the episode lineup. We had episode 5 was the one with Serene. You had episode 6.
I
What
think.
was it the track meet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
That was a big one.
yeah. What was the guy's name?
Coda or Goda, something like that.
Coda, I think it was Coda.
Yeah, Coda.
Yeah.
Coda, that was a really good one too. And then that was whenever they announced the whole demon thing. Rio was like, "Demons are real," and you're like, "Oh my god!"
We didn't know.
And then people are just getting slaughtered. Notice the scene where the guy was. I love the scene where the guy's got his earbuds in. He's just like jamming.
Oh
And
yeah,
then he
and
just
then you
gets
just get
stomped.
fucking
And like
demolished.
they don't even just like comically crush him either. Like you think because it seems comical. You're like uh-oh, this guy doesn't go as well. He's gonna be funny, and they just
Yeah.
like he snaps and then snaps again, and you see blood, and you're like, oh.
Like, maybe this was just like the sick person that I am, but like the first half of the show, most of like the violence I thought was hysterical because it was so absurd.
Yeah, I was
Like the first demon you see is like the one where the woman's tits like form mouths and just like
Hell yeah.
I'm just like what?
Yeah, no, I flipped out too. Like I loved it. It's
But that was a very like turning point from where it went from that more comical like over the top to where it was more gritty and grounded.
Like what all the people are trying to get through the fence, but it's blocked off.
Oh yeah, that
And
was.
then they all just get slaughtered.
The gosh, and then I don't know. It's the violence just. I got a lot to say about that, but so let's finish the episode lineup. So we were on episode 7.
Yeah, I like 7 through 10 just kind of blur together.
was 7 the one where
7's when the world starts to fall apart, and that's when Miki gets hassled by the demon prevention club, and then the rappers go save her.
and then
Yeah, that's right.
And then what was it? That one girl, Miki, like her name was
Miko.
Miko, but she wants to be called Miki.
Miku.
Well, Miki's her real name. Miko was her nickname by Miki.
Yeah, and she, God, she got what, raped, but then she killed that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the street.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know why, but that was just like, out of all the things that made me uncomfortable, I was like, fuck. Like,
We're not going to talk about Butterfly Man and how he really liked her and she just killed him.
Yeah, like how she just ended up killing the guy that really liked her.
Wait, when did this
Butterfly
happen?
guy, the guy that rapped to her for like 3 minutes straight.
Because there's like 6 rappers in their little group. 5 of them went to save Miki, but there was one that Miko became involved with. They went to the Sabbath together and they both got possessed.
Oh yeah.
And then because I missed the part where she killed him, because the last I remember about him was when they tried to rob that clothing store, and then he kind of snuck out the back, but I didn't see what happened to him afterwards.
They don't really show it, but you can see there's a scene where you can see half of a hand cut off, and you see the FLY
tattoo.
And she's in his apartment, and you can see her wearing his sunglasses.
But you can also see his dead body.
And yeah, but
And
you
there's
only see
flies.
his feet. So
Yeah, but I mean, he's still wearing his clothes.
I don't know that man's feet.
And episode 9, of course, was whenever
Well, episode 8 is when the world starts falling apart more.
And
then-
Mickey's parents get killed.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
that was
And
like
really.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's when,
because episode 9's when
when Akira gets exposed as a devil man.
yeah.
Because
And-
Ryu
and-
calls him out.
Yeah.
And then on episode 10 is whenever
We're just gonna skip over Miki getting fucking
Episode
killed?
9.
We'll get to there.
I honestly have to admit, episode 9 is kind of my favorite
Episode 9's my favorite too. I
Yeah.
think.
because like just how awful it is. Like everybody gets
Because
killed.
the thing, okay, so let's go back to the split real quick. So basically you have up until episode 4. Episode 5 is the last sort of things are good. Things are not good, but things are normal-ish.
it's kind of like Monster of the Week
Yeah, it turns
or Monster of the Episode.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then after that, it just sort of just whoo. So if you get to if you're watching, if you're just like, I don't care if I get spoiled for Devilman, I just want to hear about it. If you go back and watch it, I highly recommend. If you stop right now, you're gonna be fine throughout the entire. You just know that everyone dies.
Everyone.
like
Everyone
like when it's not like in Game of Thrones where it's like kind of joking like
No,
everybody
all
dies.
All the
No,
characters
like
the principal die. No, literally the entire Earth dies.
like everybody gets killed, and then at the end, the entire Earth is destroyed by God.
Yeah.
God's like fuck y'all.
I mean,
but it's restarted.
I mean, yeah, but if it fulfills the prophecy in the Bible.
There is some biblical prophecy ideas to it, but that's not the whole point of the.
Yeah, it's definitely not the point.
So definitely the point of Devilman has been around forever. It's been around forever. It's been around since the inception of
at
Devilman.
least like the 60s to 70s.
And the whole point of Devilman is to emphasize the creator of Devilman he feared World War III. He always felt like World War III was imminent, and due to nuclear weapons and things like that, and those fears and things like that, he wanted to create an anime that kind of
Express that fear.
that fear of the frugality or the demonic nature of humans and not just demons themselves.
Yeah. Well, and also like having the devil men being like, while they have these violent and sexual urges, they are able to control them.
Yeah, that's
and that's like they are the happy medium,
And they're the heroes.
and they're the heroes. Whereas like the
humans, we can't control them. That's why at the Sabbath
or they try. We as humans we try to suppress them, and then they come out in
that's
very
that's a really
dark
good point.
ways.
There is this idea that's like the futility also is in there, like the futility that this is just going to happen because he wasn't. I don't know if he was trying to prevent in his intentions to show this type of anime. I don't think his intentions were to prevent. I think that he truly believed that the things that were going to happen were going to happen.
Yeah.
And, there was a sense of futility in he was just showing it. It was like, this is how people are. This is how it is, and it's just gonna happen, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, this is how it's going to end, which is funny because in the first episode of Devilman Crybaby, Akira finds a cat that is sick and it's dying, and Ryu's like, let me kill it already. And Akira's like, no, don't do that. And he's like, Ryu's like, why? It's going to die. It's going to die, and it did end eventually dying. That's actually kind of like a, symbolism?
It's futility. It's
because-
going to die either way.
The cat represents humanity and saying that, like, humanity is going to die just let it happen.
And that's the thing
But-
is, and in that same concept, it was that you had Akira, which was
Well, sorry, I should say let Ryu kill them essentially.
he was like, I'm gonna let me kill the cat, and because he had his box played out, and Akira was like, no, don't, you can't kill him. It's like he's gonna die anyways. He was like,
You don't know that.
You don't know that. And he was like, he's gonna die. And then and he's like, stop crying. And that's what Rio says to Akira. He's like, stop crying. And Akira's like, you're crying too. And it was just like this futility. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's sort of like not saying that the futility is necessarily like the way to view things either.
Yeah,
because it's that point of view that leads to the destruction of the world.
There's definitely some anti-nihilist themes in it. It's like, even though the world's falling apart, even if there's no meaning to life, even if it's all futile, it doesn't mean that you should stop, being kind.
You shouldn't stop caring.
Yeah.
Because we're here in the moment, so
You find your own meaning.
And it's really hard, but that same argument is very difficult to. It's very difficult to kind of to that anti-nihilistic idealism, which is that's present in that cat in the kitten scene. It's kind of difficult to kind of extrapolate across the entire series because at the end, I mean, yeah, Rio was crying over Akira, but Akira died, and it was futile, and it's kind of difficult. Like, well, but that was the result of that idea. But in the same concept of it's just like you shouldn't think this way, but doesn't matter. Like, your nihilism is the cause of all this, but not being nihilistic is also naivety.
Yeah, I mean, it's saying like don't be naive. People are this way, but it doesn't go into the far extreme and by saying you should nothing matters.
That edgy teen.
It ended anyway. Like the way how people like misinterpret people like Nietzsche or Sartre.
Yeah.
One of the things that I definitely want to address, because the thing is, we can't expand on the entirety of the show. Because if we go episode to episode, we're gonna end up doing our own damn podcast. One per episode, I could do it. I could.
Crybaby cast.
Yeah,
I could do it.
2018 Devil Cast.
everybody cries the whole time.
Yeah, basically.
But there is. I do want to highlight a few episodes. One of the episodes that we all said was our. There's a few parts. The Celine fight, how she's not able to kill. Devilman was going to die.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I do want to talk about real quick. I got hiccups. Oh gosh. Is the fact that Devilman is in the first few episodes, Devilman's his abilities are never highlighted. He just is a man that's also Devilman, or he's a man who's also demon.
But he's also characterized as probably the strongest demon.
Kind of.
I mean, if you know
Well, I mean-
who Amon is,
He said because Rio said the champion of demons, right?
Yeah. He said I brought this, or I created the strongest demon alive, or the champion demons, whatever.
And so they don't really talk about those the powers of him or anything like that, but he ends up almost being destroyed by Celine, right? But she dies before she's able to finish him off. Mm-hmm. So there's almost like this fated existence to him in that sense of like halfway through the show, you get this, even though it's been gruesome, he's gone through the trials of his parents not being there. Then when they're almost there, they're dead, and he almost died by the hands of Celine, but somehow was saved, even though they got to use her special power of fuse, or not her special power, but they got to fuse. She got to fuse with what's his name, the
Kine.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like this fated idea in the middle of this show. It's like, things are bad, but Devilman is fated to be the good guy in this situation, and then no more.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. There also episode 8.
Oh,
No,
wait.
no,
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just want to say I love the part where Kira is dreaming about sex, and then Miki's listening, and you just hear like lots of loud grunts, and then wakes up in the morning, cum all over the ceiling.
Like, he finds like jizz on his hands, like, oh no. Then he looks up and just like his ceiling is plastered.
Spider-Man.
I mean, I'm thinking about end of
Evangelion, baby.
end of Evangelion. Whenever Shinji's like, I'm so fucked up. Spoiler.
Well, and like what I find interesting about the show was how like Devilman had inspired things like Berserk and Evangelion, and then this is coming in and taking elements from those shows to influence itself. So it's like this weird like feedback loop.
Like it's like returning the favor, like cause
Yeah, because like the last scene of the show was that color scheme was stripped right out of it into
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Whenever the world ends and the sea is red with blood, or was it blood? No, it was
or orange tang.
Yeah, or it was like it was supposed to be like what?
It was like that
primordial
soup or
yeah.
whatever.
Everybody was reverted to primordial soup. Yeah.
Red Fanta.
It is primordial soup.
Oh my!
Manna from the heavens.
Wait a minute! You telling me every time I drink red Fanta, I'm drinking the essence of all existence?
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense. It tastes good.
Yeah, you're right.
Have you ever had red cream soda before? It's just cream soda but red. That's it. So I do want to go ahead and talk about episode 9 because it was the best episode. Episode 10 was the explosive nature. If everything before episode 9 was the exposition that it was the politics that led up to the bomb dropping. Episode 9 was the falling of the bomb and people and where everybody was at during the bomb drop, and then episode 10 was the bomb dropped. Right? It was the bomb going off. Right? And so episode 9 was a very special episode because it was in itself an entire roller coaster, because episode 9 felt long. It felt long, but also really short. There was the scenes where basically Devilman got exposed. He got exposed. Rio did the exposure. Rio comes into his own and realizes I think that was the episode that his apartment was destroyed.
Oh yeah, it was blown up.
His apartment was destroyed. And you had Miki who said, you can be Devilman, and you can be a bad guy, or you can be a Devilman. All Devilmen are not bad. And she got so much hate for it. You saw the Instagram comments and things like that.
And I really loved how like social media played into it.
Yeah.
At least from what I understand of the manga, it plays out over a longer period of time.
Right.
And it's because the technology. And I think this is this director's like commentary on how like,
the effect of social media.
Yeah, like how social media creates this like reactionary hate mob.
And how quickly information is disseminated through like internet culture.
And I know like a lot of people were complaining about the pacing in that point in particular. And while I don't think it's a perfectly paced show,
no,
that point in particular was meant to show
the rapid decline of
and
situation.
it was because of our technology has increased.
Yeah. I really like this episode, especially for the fact of how she was like, yeah, we can do it. It felt like a hero's tale. People were rallying around Devilman, but then Devilman, everyone turns on him, basically. That was the same episode that the kids were coming up and hugging his leg.
Yeah,
right?
he was trying to stop them from stoning all the people, which was
humans.
And
they were suspected of Devilman because Rio was turning people's suspicions on people's suspicions on each other. Like, if you think somebody's a Devilman, you better kill him.
Yeah, because the only way to kill them was, what was the reason to
before they be turned into a Devilman? That's the only way they were vulnerable.
Yeah, so
and everyone who's a reject from a society is screwed.
Yeah, but then it's like also saying like anybody can essentially be a Devilman.
Yeah, and that was the thing is that that you saw Devilman, you saw Akira, him look at these people, and he was like, "Stop! Why would you do this? Why would you do this?" And they were just throwing rocks. And then finally, he saw some humanity. He was like, "These humans aren't so bad after all." And then the long, drawn-out scene with Miki. Her being chased out of her house, being overrun by a mob of people wanting to kill her. And all the people that you had learned throughout the entire series and become accustomed to.
The rappers.
They were murdered,
slaughtered
by humans.
And
there were
their
so
own
many
friends.
There were so many points of hope where like it's like Oh, you think you're going to get away? And
Yeah.
then like Miko gets killed, and they're like, okay. And then you see the truck pull up,
And
it
the
has
main rapper dude.
the main rapper dude's there, and you're like, oh, he's going to save her. Nope, he has a
has, like-
pickaxe in his
Yeah,
back.
he has like several like
And
knives in him.
Going back, another big thing is noticing the rappers. The rappers who you thought were just a close-knit group of friends all rapping together and they were all cool together, that, oh, bros die together, right? No, they're killing each other.
Yeah, like-
and then of course you have, but at the end you have on the beach or the riverside, Miki running, and it's just like she's just screaming Akira's name.
That music.
And then the knife is
It gets her
coming
down
down, and
her-
it just like hits her, and she just screams, and it's not even like it's just a
It rips, essentially cuts. It cuts down her spine.
and
Oh.
gouges her spine.
Oh.
'Cause I remember like my jaw being on the floor for the rest of the episodes. Like Miki dying, he's like, "Oh, she's gonna live because she's the main girl." Then like, nope.
And if it just stopped there, you would have been sad. And then the end credit scene, which is really sad, would have been played, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
I'm
but-
depressed. But then they rubbed it. They literally took salt and iodine and just rubbed it right into that
They
wound.
fucking
Because
did.
they
You do see the hand come out of TV and just tear your fucking heart out.
They were like,
Yeah.
they put parts of their bodies, literally parts of their bodies. Like one person had somebody's crotch on a stick, waving around the
all
house.
the lynchers that they after they killed all of Akira's friends, they chopped their body parts up, ran them through spikes, and are dancing them around in front of Miki's
burning house, and it's almost like cult like almost. It was
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
it was very ridiculous.
Because they were rejoicing in the fact that they all died.
It's like,
Yeah.
we killed the demons. We killed the demons. You know,
who were the real monsters? Them, the ones parading around
And
with their bodies.
That's what Akira noted, because Akira, Devilman, came up on the scene, and he's just like,
To hell with all you humans, which I thought was just great, and he
Hell
annihilated.
with all you mortals.
to hell, you mortals. And then
Okay.
what ended up happening was you actually had a cutscene from the manga, or what seemed like a black and white screen, which was a flash, and you didn't get to see his power. You just saw his anger, his frustration come out in that one moment.
and completely annihilated them.
Yeah, and
It's so good.
and then of course the after credit scene rolls, and if you at the end of the episode 9, if you've watched it, there's of course, if you had it, some people skip over it, some people are just like, okay, next episode, which is totally understandable at that point in time. But if you don't, go back and watch episode 9 all the way through, and then watch this last scene, and it's really difficult to watch because it's literally just Akira riding on the bike, as he's Devilman, of course, with Miki holding on to him, and it's the softest lullaby of a Japanese folk singer just singing this really just beautiful song, and they're just riding off into a sunset, and it's really hard to just look at the screen. It's
It made my heart drop. Like it just made me like my head just thrown down, close my eyes, just thinking about like
Yeah.
it's just you can't. It's just a quiet room. It's just you're there with your TV, your quiet room, and this 3-minute song, 3 to 5 minute song, I don't really know, in the scene, and it's not them doing anything special. It's just a looping scene,
of on them on a motorcycle in this. There's a sunset in the background.
and they're just riding across, and they're not riding into the sunset. They're riding horizontal with the sunset. It seems
Yeah.
like, with the horizon, and it's just that song. And you look at this, but the thing is though, is like you don't end up watching the animation, because it's just like we can't watch it. You just watch this, and it wasn't, and to me that wasn't a scene that had happened before. That wasn't something that had happened with her that we didn't get to see. To me, that scene was
What could have happened?
not. I don't even know if it was what could have happened. It was just sort of like a farewell almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean,
it was like an in memoriam.
which I mean, like you said, they're riding not into the sunset but horizontally, meaning that like, you know, if they're riding, it's. I mean,
that would have been their finale, but
the fact that they're
the sunset is their happy ending, and they're parallel to it.
yeah, so they never reached that happy ending.
And then of course we have episode 10.
Which it's just like essentially it's just like everything's futile.
Everything's after the Miki thing happened, it's over. Like the show,
like this is the end.
like honestly, like there is everything's bleak. Everything's bleak.
It is like
the
so
show-
sublime.
The show is bleak. You feel bleak. Sublimity is not sublimity.
There-
Word,
like,
but
there's-
sublime. Like
There's no going back.
there's no going back. There's no reversing. You know that, and you don't know what to expect. You don't know what's coming next. and everything's on the plate, and you have the last humans fighting it off.
which was beautiful. I love
Yeah,
the
I-
tanks and how everything. Nothing was really super detailed, but it was
I mean,
detailed at the same time.
That one
Yeah.
that one scene where they're somewhere in the desert in America. The last
I was thinking it was like Utah.
Utah,
Yeah.
and they were like sitting there fighting. You see all them surrounding, and they're like, oh, the last humans are really doing this right now. Which when I think about that, and like I'm like, wow, like that's crazy. Like literally, the last humans are right there in that base, and they just completely destroyed them.
And the biggest thing that I really liked about that was I really liked there was, and it was at this point in time that it did kind of turn back from it was in this episode that it felt more like an anime and less like a conversation piece at times, like because because again I think this episode 10 kind of went back to our beginning half of the pacing, where you had like the Devilman come in and be like, use me, and like they would like fuse with Akira and like become his arms or his legs and get cut off by Rio.
And I think that was cool too. Whenever he punched Rio, it's like they made the world seem really small, because as soon as he punched him, he went into the Antarctic and like completely like sliced what almost
that wasn't the Antarctic. That was the moon.
what?
No, yeah, he cut the moon in half.
Oh, he did cut the moon. Fuck.
Yeah, he just like was like psh, and like cut the moon in half, because then you start seeing the true like nature of what this fight is. It's just it's not. Go ahead, Pat.
Plus, what they said every time when demons fuse, their powers multiply. So Akira is as he's fighting Rio, like all the demons that aren't being killed in the fight with the other demons, like they're fusing with Akira to make him stronger so he can stand up to Rio.
Yeah. And
And maybe, I mean, really, it's like,
and that's the arms race. That's the arms race. We're talking about nuclear war here, like from an analog to the world. That's an arms race. It's like, okay, well, let's fuse together. We're becoming more and more powerful. That's an arms race, and then world ends.
yeah, which I think I loved the fact that, like, again, that power fighting, it's like, but really there's like nothing else to fight for other than just to fuck up Satan.
Because it doesn't matter, because Devilman, of course, Akira's on the good side, and you have Rio, which is not on. It's kind of ambivalent. Like, ambivalent, is that the word?
Ambivalent.
Ambivalent.
Well, yeah.
Kind of chaotic.
But the thing is, though, is that no matter, because it's kind of like if you were to look at something like going back to the Cold War, which is I don't want to say it's at the end of the Cold War that this anime came out, or
No, I mean that was the height of the Cold War.
you think it was okay? Because
it was like late 60s.
Oh yeah, because I was thinking it was this anime came out or the manga came out in the late 70s. But what ended up happening was you had like if you were to say the U.S. was Devilman and USSR, which is coming from a total American perspective, of course. USSR, you had them going together. It doesn't matter who the fuck wins; everyone loses. And that was sort of displayed in the power that was kind of happening, and you saw the explosion and the violence and things like that. Oh my god, it's so good.
Which is funny because if you like, oh gosh, those stupid memes where people will put like the flags of the countries, for. I mean, if you were to put that in like Akira's America, put the American flag, and then Rio's like Russia, and it's like, oh, I miss you.
And then of course you have the end scene.
That caught me completely by surprise.
Where Rio was like, "Oh, that was fun," very nonchalant and talking to Akira seemingly, and they're looking off into like the red
and
sky.
they're on the cliff that they were as a child. They end the world.
Oh, yeah.
On where their story began at the cliff.
Yeah, they're pretty much looking at the universe.
And Rio starts crying. He's like, "What is happening? What am I feeling? And what is this feeling?" And it's like I interpret that as regret, almost like a sorrowful
I think
regret.
that was like the first time he ever felt like any sort of empathy, and that was sort of like his punishment for what he did.
And Akira's cut in half.
Yeah, Akira's dead
because he wanted it. Because his ultimate plan was to have him and Akira alone together at the end of the world.
That's the reason why he made Akira a Devilman, so he would survive what he had coming. He just survived into the world
Subconsciously, but yeah.
But he lost. Akira was the only thing that Ryu cared about. Because if you look at Akira cared about everyone. He cried for everyone. He never cried for himself. but the first time Ryu ever cried was for Akira.
Ooh, shit. That's
And if you go back and watch the first episode, like with the dying kitten, Akira had the umbrella over the kitten, and on the side of the box there's a little picture of the world. So Akira was caring about the world. They was caring about others.
Damn.
But Ryu had his umbrella over Akira.
Mm-hmm. And then that goes back to the "you're crying too" bit.
You're crying too, and he ended up crying.
Yeah, and then,
Fuck, so good.
and then God was like, "Fuck you all."
And just like again, the futility of regret and sorrow at the end of a nuclear weapon, at the end of an end of the world scenario.
Yeah.
But then with the end credit scene, kind of having that hopeful rebirth.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
Ragnarok, the whole like the
Once like God destroys the earth and the heavens, he'll recreate it so all there's no more sin or anything.
well, yeah, of course. Well, I mean,
There's definitely
the-
some
the-
obvious like biblical allegory.
Yeah.
but for the most part, I mean, this particular allegory is not. It's sort of like, oh, it's gonna happen. It's
like a repeating cycle.
it's a repeating cycle, which is like Ragnarok, apocalypse, those sorts of things. But the thing is, though, is that like you're kind of like, yeah, well, they can start again and do it all over again.
But it's like that's
Yeah.
actually
And-
kind of interesting
Because it's like there's a hopeful optimism there, but then you're like,
what if it's just everything?
but the show just taught you futility.
Yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of like
There's
like when I think about like there's theories that the universe ends, right? It's like once it ends, there's like a Futurama did an episode on this where like there's a second like essentially Big Bang, but everything that happened before happens again.
so like Big Bang Theory wise, just fun fact, Big Bang happens, expands out to the universe, and then all of a sudden snap back again somehow, back again, and so like it's just like a big pulsating like thing that happens over the course of like eternity.
Yeah.
That's the whole. That's one of the ideas of Big Bang. But anyways, there is a few things I want to touch on, especially with that I didn't get to, especially with the controversy and things like that, like the grotesque amount of sex. I saw some people. One of these people. I watched a lot of reviews afterwards. I binged the reviews because I wanted to see what people had to say about it. Because
Let's make fun of people.
I had a different idea about it. One of the things that someone brought up was how they were that we're talking about the sex and the particular about the sex.
Really? That was a problem with... I know it is obviously a problem with people, but...
Well, it's just
There's so much sex in media anyways.
But this was in your face, and it was because a lot of times in sex and media they pan away from it and they avert your eyes for you.
Yeah.
But in this, they force you to fuck that girl in the scene.
But I have noticed that people will be a lot more likely to comment on sex and violence in a form of media.
Then
If it's animated, because they have television shows that are explicit with sex and violence, and people don't quite make as much stir that I've noticed.
Right. And one of the things that I noticed, especially my second, I watched these reviews in between my first watch through and the second watch through, and I watched and I noticed they force you in this position. And one of the things that made me realize this show was very four-dimensional in how it approached things. Of course, you had the animation, which led to the music, and they kind of merged together. The pacing, which I think was purposeful. I think that to a degree it was purposeful. Otherwise, it was budgetary.
Yeah, like I mean, it's just gonna happen with any show.
And I think the other thing that I noticed was that it was four-dimensional in the sense that it forced you to feel uncomfortable, like aroused in some areas. Like this, I mean, one of his reviewers talked about how he was like, he was just normal human reaction, male reaction to seeing all this sexual stuff is just like being aroused by it, but kind of being like turned off because it's like, this is not nice. And it made you face your own as a person while you're watching it, your own sort of insecurities about what it means to be in this dark spot, this quote unquote dark spot.
So it's very intentional and like driving and provocative because they want you to think it forces you to see this ugliness and like you have to examine it.
It forces you to reflect. It forces you. It doesn't just hint at, well, maybe we should think about sex and violence and things like that.
Yeah,
it forces it down your throat and makes you feel it.
Which honestly I like that because I think that's what a lot of good literature has done is like it makes you question
Masterpiece.
It makes you question yourself, your humanity, everything. Like that's just really good. And that's something I noticed too is like people like they don't. I don't know why they just try to deny that ugliness in humanity. Like they just try to shove it. It's like, but it's there. Like, why won't you question it?
It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And sort of having like the Devilman as that thesis of is like acknowledging your primal urges and dealing with them in a healthy way. This sort of forces you to deal with them in a hopefully healthy way.
Yeah.
But it forces you to confront them, whereas society in general tells you to suppress them.
Yeah.
Because that's something I've learned is as a bit of a quote, no feeling ever dies. It's only buried alive till it comes back as something worse.
Ooh, that's a fucking good. That's good. Where the hell did you get that from?
Dang, Pat.
It's been years, but I remember,
Did you come up with that? Are you lying?
I wish I was that
Poetic.
proficient.
Yeah.
But that's something I remember hearing it, and like it really struck a chord. Because like you said, because if we're able to like address a problem, we can be able to like solve it. You can't. No problem can be solved if you ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to face things head. Like, that's one of the main. It's you got to. I mean, just pulling away from Devilman in general is that you have to face things head on. Any issues you have. I mean, I think I tweeted about this the other day when Wenzel liked the tweet. But yeah, you have to face those sort of like truths that you're faced with. You can do one of two things with them. You can ignore them, or you can face them. If you face them, you're more than likely going to be able to overcome them, or at least be able to know more about them to overcome them later on. And that comes with this tasteful truth. I believe truly, as a society, which is again, Devilman Crybaby is a generalized idea, conversation about society, that we do a lot of times bury things that do come back as things that are worse. A lot of times, as a society, not just on the individual level, but on a societal level, we bury the things. I mean, for just a random example, how we the sex trade system that's going on. We liked, oh no, those people in the room next to us, they're just having fun. You're at the hotel, but the truth is that could easily be someone that's being sex trafficked or something.
Or I mean, just something as like anybody can vibe to. Whatever is like, you have thoughts about like, I want to be with if you're a dude, you like, I want to be with another dude, or if you're a woman, you're like, I want to be another woman. And it's like, you ask those questions and your parents like, oh no, you're just confused. Don't think about it. Just repress it. It'll be fine. Let's just send you to a gay camp.
And there's a difficulty there because you want to be able to, because the thing is though, is that I tend to think that everyone at the table is typically a pretty progressive people, but therein lies an issue with being progressive sometimes is that what aspects do we let become prolific?
Yeah, what do we let?
There
are some things that need to be excluded.
That need to be excluded and addressed because they become prolific. Because there's always the hyped up response, especially to like gay marriage and stuff like that.
Yeah, people are like, oh, if you allow gay marriage, then people are going to give
fuck dogs.
You'd be like,
yeah,
like
exactly.
Snakes.
And those are exaggerated examples, but then you start getting into a gray area whenever you start talking about, and then we talk about mental illness, but then you start getting into a gray area, and this is a very deep topic that we should not get into on this podcast. And Tanner would be freaking the fuck out that we're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
Then you get to this weird little disturbing area where you start talking about, well, gay marriage and mental illness. Well, let's talking about pedophilia for a minute.
The cat keeps touching my ass.
I meant to ask a while ago. He kept looking at me, so I was like, "Is Nova a devil man?"
And so you get into this weird little aspect of pedophilia, where, like mental illness. Of course, everyone at this table agrees it's disgusting and despicable. But at the same time, it is a mental illness to a large degree because why would any quote unquote normal individual want to practice that practice? It's of course something that's fucked up in someone's head. But how do you deal with this as members of society? And I mean, it's difficult. It's a gray area where you allow some things, but you don't allow others, and you got to figure out. I mean, of course, comes in the idea of like, oh yeah, that shouldn't happen at all. But let's
Like I said, there has to be a conversation.
There has to be a conversation.
No matter how confrontation is always uncomfortable, but like if you don't address it, you allow it to fester, you allow it to get worse. And if you just sort of take a look, it's a lot easier to deal with something when it's just a little problem than try to fix it when it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, there's a new show on Comedy Central called Corporate, and on the first episode, one of the main characters, he emails two of his like bosses, their executives, and they're like, did you BCC John? And he's like, oh no, I didn't do that. And she's like, oh well, you need to do that. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll do it next time. Then John comes and he's like, hey, you didn't do this for me. I'm like, oh okay. And then they're like, he's like, sorry, I'm just really tired. And they're like, why are you really tired? It's like, oh, because I have anxiety at night. It's like, why do you have anxiety? It's like, because I feel like this is a confrontational work environment. They're like, well, we promote aggressive confrontation. There's like a sign behind them saying aggressive confrontation, literally has their pictures on them. And I'm just like, shit. Like, confrontation is uncomfortable. And after watching that, I'm like, man, I would never.
It is.
But it is good. It is good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's scary. Like, confrontation is scary, and it does give people anxiety because, like, it is. We do fear things, and I don't know. Anyways,
Whatever. I'm still hung up on titty monsters.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Devilman's good. Devilman's really good.
One of my other favorite monster designs was whenever that one girl's ass literally like started popping eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, wasn't there a point where there's like a guy and a girl having sex and like her vagina? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cuts him in half.
Like, gets bit in half and his legs fall off.
Yeah. What a good.
If you listen to this whole thing, you listen to this. I honestly think that this is one of those things where, yes, we just talked about and spoiled the hell out of Devilman, Crybaby. But I do think that if you have watched it, I do think and recommend you go back and watch a second watch through, maybe even 3 times if you can stomach it. Or if you've never watched it and you listen to it just because you didn't care about it really and you didn't plan to watch it, I think you can get a lot of it just going back and watch. We skipped over a whole lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot of plot points.
It's very meaty. It's worth,
We just went back and we literally just given you a first general sort of like shocking walkthrough of the thing. Now go back in it with your own set of eyes and see if you can pick out what we said, pick out your own stuff. It's something that I do think that even if you do get spoiled for, you could easily go back and watch and still gain stuff from.
And yeah, like all the emotional beats, even if you know they're coming, they're still gonna get hard. Like when I was watching episode 9 with Jonathan, like I teared up again at episode 9. Like
episode
I'll
9.
say, we can go around the room and say how many times you cried. But I bawled at episode 4 or whatever it was when Akira had to face his parents possessed by the demon, and the entirety of episode 9. But the thing that got me wasn't so much the brutality of Miki and their fates. Is when all the people like went to hug Akira after he stood up. That's what I really wrote down. It's like, man, that's.
And then all those people get killed.
I got more sad on the second watch through at that part. First watch through, I was like, what's going on here, really? And the second time I watched that's when I really got it. Because I was just like, because I realized in that moment, I was like, this is sad. This is sad because he's seeing right now the good side. Wait till he gets home, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think this is gonna wrap it up for us for our Devilman Crybaby non-canon file episode.
Yeah.
This is technically our 44th episode we've recorded, but canonically it's non-canon. I really enjoyed having Jonathan for our anime week, sorta. Hopefully he'll be back in more episodes in the future, and not just be dead. Welcome back.
He might die again for a little bit.
He might die for a little bit.
But we have the Ouija board. We'll bring him back.
Well, Skull's back. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've literally we possessed a teddy bear to actually speak here today with his
Yeah.
spirit. You do understand.
seen that
You
show
do know we
Ouija?
have a you're dead meme
Yeah.
going on. Okay,
Yes.
just letting you, just in case you didn't keep up with the podcast and you just like surprised, like, wait, is there a thing where I'm dead? I guess I'm gonna wrap it up here. My name is Cody. You can follow me at CODDOC11 on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram and possibly Snapchat if you want to. I really don't do much there anymore. You can follow the podcast. Of course, you can follow the podcast on everywhere it's at. What is it? AYCH AYCH Podcast on Twitter, AYCH Podcast on Instagram, All You Can Hear on Twitch. I know Colt and Tanner are currently doing Yakuza 0, and I hear lots of things going on in there. We don't have many viewers there right now. We'd like to pump that up a little bit, get some more people in there, start watching that, because from what I hear, it's actually really good. Tanner is always cackling at the game, so that's always fun to hear his commentary on the Yakuza series, which is basically should have been pretty much just
Don't say a Japanese Grand Theft Auto.
no. I was gonna say a Japanese, like it feels like, from what I understand from the game, it seems like it should have been made by what's his name, Metal Gear.
Kojima.
I'm really
I think
bad.
it's perfect where it's at.
Probably so. You can follow us on Instagram. We are going to start posting more on there. Yeah, is there anything
Stay
else
tuned
missing?
for the Devilman OC. Those will be coming up.
Yeah, and our whatever other crap we made.
We're doing Devil OC? Wait, hold on, what?
We just did.
Oh no, the
Put in the Devil OCs.
Oh, on Instagram. Okay, yeah.
yeah. Check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play, and Overcast. We're on Overcast as
We
well.
are on Overcast as well. Give us a rating, review. We love reviews. Talk about the episode. What's your favorite in the reviews?
Yeah, tell us whether we went too far on this episode and we need to shut up.
Look, I enjoy talking about this type of stuff. If you like the Non-Canon Files, let us know. Send us a message over Twitter. If you don't want to, send us an anonymous tweet. If you got it like an anonymous account, I don't know. Send us a message over Instagram. I don't give a shit.
Anonymous.
Let us
email
know
us.
what episode, if you like this episode, because I really like talking about this type of stuff.
Feedback is always appreciated.
Yeah, tell us if you want us to go deeper in the void.
If you have a dark anime you want us to talk about in a Non-Ken file, let us know. I don't care if it's one person says, "Hey, I wanted you to do an entire
Evangelion cast.
You know,
I'd have to rewatch it.
I think I would do that only if we did the movies.
Yeah, because I have
1.3,
all three of
all
them.
those.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I can't watch the anime again. I'm sorry. I just can't.
No, that is completely fine. Watching it for the first time.
Oh, I got an idea. Dexter.
Dexter's Laboratory or the killer?
Both.
Por qué no los dos? As
Dexter
far as
Knight.
I'm concerned, they're both the same. Let's go ahead around the room. I already told you who I am. Who's this kid right here?
It's me, Winsy. Stop pointing at me. I'm scared. I feel confronted. Follow me on Twitter at Winsy Wilkie. Follow my art Instagram at World of Winsy.
I'm Colt. You can follow me on Twitter at Colt88. Send me pictures of you crying at your dogs.
This is Patrick. You can follow me online on Twitter and Instagram at John Lost His Name. You can follow my art on Facebook at John Lost His Name Art.
And it's me.
And Jonathan, who is radio silent on most social media.
If anybody has any pictures of actual real demons or devilmen, send that to us.
Send it.
If there's a picture of a cat, if a cat with
Send us
his,
a picture of your seeds. Send us a picture of your Devilman.
send us a picture of a scary cat.
Yeah, if you got Devilman OCs, tweet us at it. We'll retweet them. Why not?
Oh yeah.
As long as they're not like grotesque. Don't like tweet us.
We don't
Yeah,
want the,
no
As long as
nudity.
it, no titty
we don't want the
monsters.
titty
Yeah.
penis monsters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please God.
Keep
And no violence.
Those are better left to Wenzel drawing them and leaving them in hotel rooms.
We like happy
Wait a minute. Don't.
That's right, cleaning
Don't look at
lady.
the sketch books underneath this bed.
All right, guys. Goodbye.
Suck.
Devil.